Hey everybody, I'm Sean Duhamel from the Mass Retirees Association. Thank you for joining with us again this week. Today's Friday, May 1st. We are now 7 weeks into the coronavirus crisis, which for us here in Massachusetts has meant that we've been working from home. I'm from home right now, as you can see. Our entire staff is safe. I hope you are too. Best wishes to you and your family. Our health and safety is the utmost, most important thing to all of us. But I want to spend this time this week just updating you on where things are at and also looking forward over the next couple of months as to what we can expect when it comes to the public policies and the legislation and the budget processes that we are dealing with and that we depend upon at the state and local level here in Massachusetts. But before I do that, let me just quickly recap something that happened last Friday that many of you should have seen and received an email update last Friday evening from Frank Valeri, our association president. And what prompted this was news reports coming out of Washington, D.C., and specifically comments made by Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell in terms of stimulus monies and financial assistance for the states and cities and towns across the country who are on the very front lines of dealing with this crisis and quite honestly are going to be experiencing pretty deep budget problems because of it. And the majority leader's comments indicated that these monies were not going to go toward bailing out state and local pension systems, and I'm paraphrasing a bit. But his comments were general in nature, but they struck a chord with a lot of our members and instilled a lot of fear in our members. And as the day went on Friday, we started hearing from a lot of you who were very concerned about the health and the well-being and the future health and well-being of our public pension systems here in Massachusetts. So we felt it was very important to get the word out to you that our systems are safe, they're secure, and they're very well prepared to endure the current crisis that we're now working through. And as a matter of fact, I spoke with State Treasurer Deb Goldberg personally last Friday afternoon. She once again reassured me that our systems, while we have a lot of challenges ahead, our systems are working the way that they are designed to work. Now, anytime you're putting together an investment portfolio, but particularly when it comes to public pension systems, you anticipate that you're going to have your good days and you're going to have your bad days, and you prepare and you plan. And those plans that have been put in place in recent years and in the immediate aftermath of the financial crisis are working. You're going to continue to get your pension check every month. We have no reason to doubt that. This plan is secure and that it is going to continue to work as it is intended to work, and we will keep you updated on that. So please, as important as it is to follow the news, take what you're hearing on a political basis, particularly nationally on a political basis, with a grain of salt. And if you have any questions or concerns, check in with us. We're here for you. And it's our job to give it to you straight and explain what's going on in a way that is directly related to the situation here in Massachusetts. Now, that being said, we have some challenges ahead of us. As of yesterday, nearly 900,000 Massachusetts residents, Massachusetts workers, have filed for unemployment benefits over the past 6 weeks. That's nearly 1 million people in 6 weeks. That's unprecedented. And experts here in Massachusetts estimate that by the time all is said and done, nearly a quarter of the Massachusetts workforce will be unemployed. And that by itself creates a lot of challenges, and I'm sure that a number of you, whether it's you yourself, maybe having been displaced from a job, or your friends or your family are struggling right now. This is an awful time for a number of people out there, and our hearts go out to anybody who's been affected by this, whether it's through the loss of a loved one, through a sickness, or through the financial hardships that are being created all across our state and really all across this country. And the immediate job of our public officials here in Massachusetts is to address those concerns, make sure that there are adequate benefits available to people who, by no fault of their own, have lost their livelihood and in some cases their businesses because of this national health crisis. So that's job number one. Job number two is what's taking place also at the state right now. Governor Baker just announced earlier this week that the stay-at-home order here in Massachusetts has been extended through May 18th. And when May 18th arrives, and hopefully we'll be able to start to return to normal, but that doesn't mean that suddenly we're going to be able to snap our fingers and everything's going to be the exact same way it was prior to this happening. Unfortunately, that's not going to be the case. And the governor and Mayor Walsh and other officials across Massachusetts have been very clear on that. It's going to be a gradual reopening. It's going to take time. No one is quite sure of how long this is going to take or the nitty-gritty details, but I can tell you personally, I can't wait to be able to get back to work in our office on Beacon Hill and have our whole staff together again at 11 Beacon Street. That's going to be a happy day for all of us. We've all been working hard from home. We've all been having our daily meetings with each other and in constant communication. But in addition to being coworkers, we're also friends. And we haven't seen each other now going on 2 months. And we can't wait to be able to get back to work in one place working on your behalf. But it's going to take some time. Some of the plans being put in place right now that we are most concerned with, I shouldn't say concerned, but keeping a close eye on, is what's going to happen with the legislative calendar this year. Right now, the budget process would normally be underway. The House would have acted on the budget for FY21 this very week. Then it would have been sent over to the Senate for the Senate to take action during the middle of the month of May, with conference committees and so forth taking place after that, with the hope of having the annual budget up and running sometime by the early July or to mid-July. That's the normal process. Well, obviously right now, that's not what's going to take place. The best information we have right now is that the budget process most likely will be delayed until late June, if not early July. That means that the budget will not be passed for July 1st. What we're most likely going to see are temporary budgets passed for the months of July and August and maybe even September that get us through the first 2 or 3 months of the fiscal year before the full budget can be put in place. The second thing that may take place, which is very unusual, is that there will be no budget debate taking place with the thousands of amendments that are typically filed. Because of the crisis that we're going through, the House and Senate leadership are working together to perhaps come up with a consolidated budget or a pre-conference budget that takes care of the most important items on the fiscal calendar, with then subsequent supplemental budgets being passed into early and mid-fall to handle other issues as they come up. Now, this process is very fluid. No decisions have been made. And we're really living through unprecedented times, thank God. For better or worse, no one's ever lived through this type of situation before. You'd have to go back centuries, really, to find something that has been this severe relating to public health. And hopefully, this is going to be over sooner rather than later. We've received some hopeful news over the past couple of days of promising developments when it comes to treatments and vaccines, that hopefully the scientists and doctors and public health officials who are working on this around the clock, not just here in the United States, but worldwide, come up with viable solutions sooner rather than later. But in the meantime, the rest of us have to make the best of a very difficult situation. So that's where things stand in terms of Beacon Hill. Now, how does that relate to our legislative package? Well, right now we don't know. It's going to be, in all honesty, very difficult for us to pass any new legislation that adds new spending to the state budget. It's going to be very difficult. I have to level with you on that. Right now, the state is looking at a potential deficit for FY21 of somewhere between $4 to $6 billion. Now, if the federal government comes through with some help, that will alleviate some of that fiscal pressure. But as of now, that help isn't coming. Washington, D.C. still hasn't figured out what they want to do. There's a partisan divide between Republicans and Democrats of exactly the type of assistance the federal government should be providing, not just to states and cities and towns, but also to individuals who are impacted by all of this. So there are more unknowns than we have answers right now, more questions than answers. So until we figure out exactly what the details are going to be over the next few months, it's very hard for us to predict exactly what's going to happen. But we remain in daily contact with legislators, with their staff. The most important thing to us right now is that the health and safety of our pension system and the long-term viability of our pension system as well as your continued access to high quality and affordable health insurance. Now, there are going to be a lot of pressures, not just at the state level, but also at the local level. And we saw this in the aftermath of the 9/11 crisis and the recession that caused. We saw it again in 2008 with the Great Recession. Anytime there have been economic difficulties, we have seen in different areas of the state a movement afoot to cut back on retiree benefits, whether it's to eliminate COLAs or whether it's to cut or cost shift when it comes to your health insurance benefits. So we need to be on our toes. We need to be on the lookout for these things. So my request to all of you is that if you hear about something at the local level involving the public pension system or retiree health insurance, give us a call, send us an email. You have our contact information. We're here to work with you. Let us know what's going on, and together we'll tackle these problems. Now, one final thing, I want to end on a high note. And thankfully, I want to thank Nancy Delaney from our team for coming up with this suggestion that we implemented today. We've been hearing reports of some coronavirus or COVID-19 hotspots in different communities around Massachusetts. Two of them being in the city of Brockton and in the city of Chelsea, that there have been an unusually high number of reported cases and deaths related to the virus. And Nancy is spearheading an effort by our team to personally call all of our members in these communities just to check in with you, see how you're doing, make sure you're okay, and see if there's anything that we can do to help you or provide some additional assistance. And I want to thank Nancy and the members of our team who are taking the time and putting the effort in, again, to personally call as many members as we possibly can. The most important thing for us is to be here for you in this difficult time. So with that, I'm going to sign off for today. Make sure to check in again with us next Friday. We do have some health insurance news that we're putting together that we'll be reporting on in the coming weeks. So look forward to checking in again next Friday, May 8th. But you stay safe and stay healthy.